In the midst of the chaotic battle, a menacing demon lunged at Dion with a sword in hand, ready to strike. With a powerful swing, the demon's blade descended, but it found nothing but the cold ground as Dion skillfully evaded the attack. Confused by the sudden and unprovoked assault, Dion questioned the demon's motives. Undeterred, the demon launched another attack, and although Dion managed to evade most of it, a sharp cut grazed his face, causing it to bleed. Dion realized that if things continued like this, escape would be impossible. He needed a plan. As the demon prepared to strike again, Dion swiftly sidestepped and closed the gap, positioning himself beneath the demon. Using the demon's knee as a platform, he leaped high into the air and drove his knife into the demon's neck. The demon glared at Dion, infuriated, and attempted to grab him. However, Dion knew his initial stab had been too shallow to penetrate deeply. He needed to avoid the demon's grasp. Suddenly, the ground gave way under their combined weight, and they tumbled off a cliff. Dion clung to his knife, still embedded in the demon's flesh. The impact at the bottom of the cliff was jarring, and the demons below watched in astonishment as the dust gradually settled. To their surprise, Dion emerged above the lifeless ogre demon. Dion couldn't believe he had survived the fall, and he realized that he must have landed on top of the ogre. He thought to himself, I guess you can stab an ogre if you put all your weight behind it. However, he soon grasped the gravity of his situation, realizing that he had landed in the heart of the enemy camp. As Dion stood there, a formidable figure appeared before him, the Demon King, arms folded, with a menacing glare that seemed to spell doom. Next to him, the hero, wounded and struggling to speak, questioned Dion's presence and why he hadn't fled when the hero was about to self-destruct. Dion replied, I'm sorry, I wanted to fulfill my duty. To his astonishment, the hero had abandoned his self-destructive plan. The hero's thoughts were filled with admiration for Dion's kindness and loyalty, and he wished that Dion could become the next hero. The hero's body began to emit a brilliant light, unlike the destructive one seen before. Dion watched in awe as the hero's consciousness faded, and he prayed for Dion to inherit some of his power. A radiant light enveloped Dion as the hero's power transferred to him. Dion was puzzled, wondering if it was even possible to transfer a hero's power through sheer will. Despite the infusion of power, Dion felt no immediate change in his abilities. Demons around them were bewildered, speculating whether Dion had killed the hero or not, as he coughed up blood, attributing it to his fall from the cliff. Dion began to accept his impending fate, realizing that he was outnumbered and severely injured. However, his resolve remained unbroken. The Demon King, curious about Dion's reaction, asked for his name. Dion decided it was best to humor the Demon King, responding, Dion Hart. As he considered his options, Dion contemplated using this unexpected situation to his advantage, thinking that he might escape when the opportunity arose. Surprisingly, the Demon King expressed interest in Dion joining the demon army, leaving Dion momentarily surprised. The Demon King assured him that there would be no opposition from humans or demons after witnessing what had transpired. As Dion looked at the lifeless ogre and hero beside him, he realized that survival had taken an unforeseen turn, and he muttered to himself, I tried to survive, but I never thought I'd survive like this. The scene shifted back to reality, with Dion seated inside a carriage. He couldn't help but reflect on recent events, thinking, it started from that day. All the people in the Demon King's castle, the king himself included, share the deluded opinion that I'm astoundingly powerful. They should really tone it down a notch. They've gone so far that I've become deathly afraid of the future. Just then, a voice interrupted his thoughts. It was Ed, calling out to Dion, announcing their arrival. They had reached the border between the human world and the demon realm, the front lines where ceaseless battles raged between demons and the Empire. Upon disembarking from the carriage, Dion was met by the First Corps commander, who greeted him warmly, saying, I've been waiting for you. Dion couldn't help but notice the commander's worn appearance, and he thought to himself, judging from his shabby state, things must be really bad here. Dion reciprocated the greeting with a handshake, even exchanging pleasantries with the Zero Corps commander. As Dion settled into this unfamiliar environment, he couldn't help but reflect on the decision he had made earlier. He ruminated, but I thought I would die if I refused, so I couldn't help it. I should have turned him down right then and there, but I thought I would die if I refused. He was referring to the king's offer to join the demon army, and despite his inner turmoil, he maintained a forced smile. Observing Dion's demeanor, the first corps commander, Jakar, noted to himself, as expected, his expression has eased up after we left the demon king's castle. I'm sure he's looking forward to the battle. Jakar then informed Dion, sorry to disappoint you, but there is currently a lull in the fighting. We don't know when the battle will resume, so you can prepare in advance. Dion was taken aback by this news and questioned, What? What are you talking about? Who's looking forward to what? He couldn't fathom the situation and asked if Jakar was referring to the corps. Jakar clarified, no, I'm naturally referring to you as well. I would like you to step into battle as soon as the Empire troops start attacking. Dion, visibly surprised and filled with trepidation, stammered, you want me to fight too? The scene shifted to the human world's front lines, specifically the Empire's barracks. A human soldier was reporting to the Empire's hero, Cruel, about the situation. He mentioned that according to their scouts, the Zero Corps commander would be participating in the upcoming battle, and the Demon King's troops seemed to be in high spirits as of yesterday. On the other hand, the Empire's troops were not as confident. Cruel, the hero, interrupted the soldier's report and thought to himself, what a headache. Why did that infamous bastard come down here? The Zero Corps commander, the Joker of the Demon King, and the presence that's known to be even more outstanding than the First Corps commander, who's supposed to be the strongest out of all 12 commanders. The soldier asked the hero what they should do in response to this news, expressing concerns about their chances of victory. Cruel, deep in thought, finally replied, we will send an assassin. The soldier was taken aback, wondering if they were truly considering assassinating the Zero Corps commander. Cruel elaborated, if the Zero Corps commander actually exists, that is. I know his rumors are incredible, but no one has been able to confirm these rumors. Perhaps the Zero Corps commander's existence itself is an illusion created by the Demon King to lift their spirits. If we can reveal the truth with one assassin, it will be a huge accomplishment. Prioritize getting information on the Zero Corps commander. The scene then shifted to Dion and Ed, with Ed preparing Dion for the upcoming battle. Ed began by outfitting Dion with a specialized bondage cloth, covering his entire body. Dion was clearly apprehensive, thinking to himself, do I seriously have to participate in the battle, too? Although I was worried because of the pressure and the outcome, I never resented the position of the Zero Corps commander. It was actually convenient because everyone was delusional and avoided me. But today, I really resent this position I hold. Ed noticed Dion's unease and asked if he was feeling unwell. Dion assured him that he was fine, and Ed continued to secure the bondage cloth. Dion, now in a more serious tone, told Ed not to be too careful, indicating that he was planning something. Ed was concerned but continued with the preparations. Dion's thoughts wandered, pondering why Ed remained loyal to him despite his weaknesses and shortcomings. He questioned what was so charming about him and why Ed didn't complain. Ed completed Dion's battle outfit, and Dion, covered in the bondage cloth and wearing a red cloak and hood, looked like an assassin. Ed informed Dion that the cloth he was wearing had been specially made by the Demon King using magic. It would deflect the sun and regulate Dion's body temperature. Dion acknowledged this but was annoyed by how comfortable he felt. Ed emphasized that with the Zero Corps and Dion, they had nothing to worry about in the upcoming battle. Dion mentioned his intention to check on the 9 Corps commander's corpse and survey the area around the tent. Ed was concerned, suggesting Dion save his energy for the battle, but Dion insisted that he was already strong enough, but it was just an excuse. He's going to buy himself time and look for places to hide. Outside, the demon soldiers noticed Dion's presence and began discussing their anticipation of victory. The First Corps commander, Jakar, observed their spirited attitude, reaffirming the Demon King's decision. Even with his presence alone, their spirits are lifted. Dion, amidst the demons, wished they wouldn't pay attention to him, but they continued to do so. An assassin sent by the Empire's hero observed the situation from above, surprised that the Zero Corps commander actually existed. The assassin contemplated testing Dion's skills to gather information for the Empire. The tension in the situation continued to mount as the assassin took out a lethal poison dart, aiming it at Dion's head. Dion considered returning to his tent, but stumbled over a small rock, causing him to fall to his knee. It was at that exact moment that the assassin released the dart, but due to Dion's unexpected fall, the dart missed its mark and struck a nearby tree instead. Thinking he had successfully dodged the dart, the assassin swiftly moved among the branches of the tree to make his escape. Meanwhile, Dion cursed his luck, frustrated that he had almost fallen due to the rock on the path. He couldn't help but wonder why the paths weren't properly cleared. A concerned demon girl approached Dion, asking if he was okay, to which he sat down and pretended to be stretching. She reassured him, calling him Sir Arut and expressing her relief that he was already warming up. While Dion contemplated the lack of good hiding spots and decided to stay in the tent, the assassin continued to watch him closely. The assassin understood that Dion didn't want his subordinates to know about the suspicious intruder, and would likely inform his most trustworthy subordinate to handle the situation in secret. The assassin decided to bide his time for another opportunity to assess Dion's skills. As Ed arrived with a glass and a bottle of wine, he noticed that Dion had returned. He asked if he knew anything about the new hero among the human troops, mentioning that the second corps commander was investigating him. Dion and Ed engaged in conversation while the assassin remained hidden in the ceiling. The assassin grew anxious, wondering why Dion was talking about Cruel, the hero, rather than addressing his presence. He began to worry that Dion had already figured out that Cruel was behind the assassination attempt. Dion noticed the bottle of wine that Ed had brought and expressed his frustration that he wasn't allowed to drink, yet Ed was drinking by himself. However, Ed clarified that he had brought the wine for Dion. Dion's expression changed, and he asked Ed if he could drink it. Ed agreed, stating that it was acceptable to drink to ease nerves on the battlefield. He poured wine into Dion's glass, felt relieved, thinking that he had narrowly avoided a dangerous situation. After Ed pours wine to Dion's glass, they hear something from the outside and they look away. It was this time when something splashed on his glass. The assassin successfully put a poison in Dion's glass. The assassin thought, "What a fool. He was distracted by the rock I threw. Thankfully, he didn't notice I poisoned his drink. The deadliest poison that will kill you instantly with just one sip." As Dion nearly put the glass in his mouth, the assassin was patiently waiting and he thought, yes, this is the end for the Zero Corps commander. When Dion was about to drink, suddenly the glass fell to the ground. Seems like Dion threw it. The assassin was surprised. "There seems to be a pest among us," Dion says. As the glass fell and shattered, Dion quickly attempted to explain the situation to Ed. In a flashback moment, he thought about his frustration with a pesky fly that had been bothering him just before the glass fell. He wanted to swat the fly away, but the glass dropped unexpectedly. Ed, however, was not fooled by the seemingly innocent accident. He examined the broken glass and immediately recognized the signs of poison. Realization struck him, and he angrily confirmed that it was indeed an attempt on Dion's life. Ed's anger flared, and he declared that there must have been an intruder involved. He scanned the ceiling for any signs of the would-be assassin, but found nothing. It became clear to him that someone had tried to poison Dion. Meanwhile, the assassin had managed to escape and was making his way back to the Empire. He understood the gravity of the situation and knew he had to report to Sir Cruel as soon as possible. The encounter had revealed that the Zero Corps commander possessed extraordinary abilities, confirming that the rumors about him were not exaggerated. The assassin realized that Dion was a formidable and dangerous adversary. As he leaped from tree to tree, he couldn't help but feel a sense of dread about the task that lay ahead. Jakar's voice echoed through the dimly lit chamber as he announced the shocking intrusion. Somebody dared to break into this place. Their objective was to assassinate the Zero Corps commander. The words hung heavily in the air, sending ripples of fear and disbelief through the assembled soldiers. The reaction was immediate. One soldier blurted out in astonishment, "What? The Zero Corps commander?" Another, equally bewildered, replied, "But how were they able to get in here?" Apart from the Zero Corps commander, nobody seemed to have noticed a thing. Jakar, his expression a mix of anger and disappointment, spoke firmly, "I will punish you for letting the intruder get in here at a later time. For now, make sure there are no more enemies in the area." The soldiers sprang into action, securing the surroundings to prevent any further threats. Dion, the Zero Corps commander, stood with his arms folded, contemplating the danger he had just narrowly escaped. He couldn't help but think, wow, I seriously could have died. Ed, one of his trusted soldiers, approached and offered a heartfelt apology. My apologies, Sir Arut. Due to my stupidity, I did not notice the intrusion until it was too late. Dion reassured Ed, I didn't think they could get past you, Ed. And that shows just how skilled the assassin is. But in his mind, he couldn't help but entertain thoughts of stepping down from his position. He muttered to himself, I should quit being the Zero Corps commander or something. Because of this stupid position, even the bastards from the Empire want to kill me. He added bitterly, I didn't even get to drink because of that freaking assassin. Ed, willing to accept any punishment for his failure, said, whatever punishment you inflict, Ed will accept it. Dion then inquired about the wine. Before you poured me the drink, the bottle was unopened, right? Ed confirmed that it was, not realizing the hidden intentions behind the question. Dion, with a sly smirk, concluded, then that means that the wine is completely safe to drink. He had discerned that the poison was in the glass, not the bottle, and a sense of triumph filled him. Meanwhile, in the Empire, the assassin responsible for the intrusion reported on the Zero Corps commander's strength. The assassin remarked, there doesn't seem to be a single lie in these rumors. If things keep proceeding like this, the Empire will not stand a chance. The Empire's commander acknowledged the threat, realizing that they needed a way to counter the powerful Zero Corps commander, who now sided with the demon faction. He was thinking of calling the other hero. The commander spoke to a soldier, saying, do you mean the other hero of the Empire? And the reply came, that's right. But since he's not here right now, we will retreat. The soldier expressed concern, fearing that a retreat might make them appear weak. The commander, however, had a strategic plan in mind. He explained, we will retreat, but if there are any shits that follow, we just need to make sure to give them a most certain death. Their intention was to create an illusion of invincibility and reluctance to engage with the demon faction. The soldier questioned what they would tell the Empire about their retreat, and the commander replied, the orders I received were to repossess the Empire's lands taken over by the demonic realm, not expand our territory into the demonic realm. We have already reclaimed the Empire's land. We do not need to cause any more friction between our realms, so we decided to retreat. The commander was mindful of his reputation as a hero and wanted to avoid any tarnish. He thought, I don't need to go overboard and ruin my debut as a hero. I've come this far. I won't let anything smear my reputation as a hero. As the Empire's commander contemplated their course of action, another soldier rushed in with dire news. The demon troops were advancing, led by none other than the Zero Corps commander. The commander and the soldier conversing earlier were shocked by this unexpected turn of events. The commander realized that their carefully laid plans were unraveling, and nothing was going according to their strategy. The scene shifted back to Dion, who had swiftly become a menacing force, slashing through soldiers with his dagger. His laughter echoed through the chaos as he struck down his foes. Ed, seeing Dion while holding a soldier, exclaimed, he drank the entire bottle, he's completely drunk right now. He was strangely elated, thinking that the situation couldn't get any better. And because of Sir Arut, everyone is in high spirits. Ed hurled the soldier aside, and the soldier's gaze fixed upon the commander of the Zero Corps. In his thoughts, the soldier pondered, who else could you label a demon if not that man? Despite clutching a sword, terror had gripped his mind. Dion leaned in close to the soldier, questioning, why are you seated here? If you wish to survive, you must fight. Otherwise, your demise will be swift. Dion raised his dagger, poised to strike the soldier, but an unexpected beam of light intercepted him, causing Dion to scatter. Stunned, Ed rushed to Dion's side. Ed exclaimed, how dare you harm Sir Arut? Just then, a hero arrived on the scene, the one responsible for unleashing the radiant beam that struck the Zero Corps commander. The hero remarked that his attack was intended to be a one-shot kill. Ed, turning his attention to the hero, realized it was indeed him, fully clad in armor. Meanwhile, Dion, bloody and coughing, caught Ed's concern. He removed a necklace, which had shattered. This necklace was a defensive talisman from Ririnal that had saved him from instant death. Without it, Dion would have perished from the previous attack. The The human soldier wept as help arrived, and the renowned battlefield star, Sir Cruel, joined them. The soldier found solace in the hero's presence, but Dion abruptly rose and swiftly killed the soldier. He then continued toward the hero, inquiring, "So, are you the new hero?" The hero replied, "That's what they call me, though I feel undeserving of that title." Dion mentioned having heard a lot about the hero and asked if they had met before, as his voice sounded familiar. He requested the hero to remove his helmet, but the hero refused, not willing to reveal his identity to his enemies. Cruel also found Dion oddly familiar but had never seen the Zero Corps commander before. Dion, juggling his dagger, remarked that since the hero wouldn't take off his helmet, he would do it for him. Dion swiftly moved toward the hero, attempting to stab him, but the hero evaded the attack by bending down. Cruel noticed agility and resolved to track his movements. The two engaged in a heated battle, clashing weapons and evading strikes. Cruel noted that Dion's attacks lacked force. In a powerful swing, Cruel managed to disarm Dion. Dion glanced at his weapon just as the hero prepared to strike. Swiftly, he retrieved his spare weapon from his thigh and deflected the hero's attack. Amid their exchanged blows, Dion executed a well-aimed kick to the hero's stomach, effectively creating a gap between them. The hero observed that Dion's attack seemed weak and questioned if he was fighting at full strength. Suddenly, Dion stopped fighting, declaring that it was enough for the day. The hero insisted that the war wasn't over, but Dion argued that it was. He pointed out that the hero had killed the 9 Corps commander and invaded the demonic realm despite regaining the Empire's land. Dion suggested they settle for defending their respective territories, a proposal the hero eventually agreed to. Dion became serious, warning the hero that if he wanted to continue the war, his troops might not support him. The hero looked at his injured soldiers and decided to retreat. Cruel acknowledged that he had lost his composure for a moment but believed it was wise to stick to the original plan. As Dion walked toward the demon soldiers, they expressed relief and praised Sir Arut for their victory. Jakar approached Dion, tapped his shoulder, and commended his efforts. However, Dion suddenly collapsed, and Jakar caught him. Jakar realized that Dion had been fighting while seriously ill, and had suppressed his desire to keep fighting to prevent their opponent from noticing his condition. Ben and Ed assisted Dion, noting his exhaustion from fighting while weakened. Jakar was deeply impressed by Dion's remarkable performance. Jakar bid farewell as they took Dion to his quarters and reflected on the Zero Corps commander's actions during the battle. Jakar stood there, watching as Ed and Ben escorted the weakened Zero Corps commander, Dion, to his quarters. In his mind, he couldn't help but ponder the remarkable turn of events. The Zero Corps commander appeared out of the blue, Jakar mused, his thoughts racing. He secured a position of power, eliminated the former 7 Corps commander, and even intervened to prevent the hero from self-destructing. And to top it all off, the Demon King himself recruited him. Although Jakar acknowledged that he couldn't deny the reality of these events, a sense of unease lingered deep within him. The sudden arrival and rapid ascension of the enigmatic Zero Corps commander had left him with a nagging feeling that there was more to this figure than met the eye. But today, on the battlefield, Dion had showcased his prowess and demonstrated why he held the title of the Zero Corps commander of the Demon Realm. His strategic brilliance and combat skills were undeniable, and Jakar couldn't deny the value he brought to their cause. Resolute in his decision, Jakar made a silent vow as he watched them depart. "Leave everything else to me," he thought, his determination clear. "I'll stand as the guardian of our realm, alongside Demon Arut." The scene shifted to Ririnal, who sensed that the necklace had broken. A demon beside her misunderstood the situation, fearing that a demonic monster had breached the seal. Ririnal clarified that it was the necklace she had given to Arut that had broken. She became worried for Arut's safety and decided to head over to him despite the demon soldier's objections. She reassured herself by saying, "Don't worry, Sir Arut, Ririnal is coming." The next chapter began with the Demon King eagerly awaiting the return of the Zero Corps. As Dion arrived, the king warmly welcomed him and acknowledged his achievements, praising him for his exceptional work on the battlefield. The Demon King remarked, "I heard it from Jakar. You did a number this time, too, huh? You never let me down. So, how was your meeting with the new hero?" Dion's expression remained serious as he replied, "There's something I need to inform you about the new hero." The king sensed that Dion hadn't fully calmed down from the recent battle, which added an air of urgency to the conversation. The king suggested they move inside to chat and mentioned that the second corps commander had brought new information about the hero as well. Dion's expression changed when he heard about the second corps commander, but the king reassured him, "Judging from your expression, you don't like the second corps commander very much. But they're very busy right now sorting through all the information. Won't be able to get out of their room for a while, so don't worry. Changed and come to the office." In the office, the Demon King handed Dion some documents and encouraged him to take a look because they contained fascinating information. As Dion began to read the contents, he suddenly felt surprised and disoriented. He couldn't understand how he had ended up back at the Demon King's castle when he had just been on the battlefield moments ago. Ririnal was there, crying and hugging him tightly. She expressed immense relief at his safety, leaving Dion puzzled. A flashback revealed Dion holding a bottle of wine, making him wonder if he had blacked out after drinking just one bottle. Ririnal explained that the necklace she had given him had broken, so she rushed to the battlefield to find him. To her astonishment, she learned that he had already returned to the Demon King's castle. Dion couldn't help but be surprised by this revelation and questioned why the necklace, supposed to prevent sudden death, had failed. Ririnal continued to praise Dion for his accomplishments on the battlefield, describing him as our Sir Arut. Dion couldn't shake off the unsettling feeling of having almost died and began contemplating whether he should quit drinking altogether. However, his attention was soon drawn to the paper he held in his hands. When he opened it, he saw the face of the hero, Cruel Heart. Instantly, Dion's mind raced back to a painful memory from his past. He couldn't forget the name and the person associated with it, his older brother. In a flashback scene, Dion Hart knelt, covered in blood, while his brother, Cruel Heart, stood before him, attempting to swing a sword at him. The scene transitioned back to the present, leaving Dion with a heavy sense of unease and unresolved emotions. Dion found himself pondering the sudden revelation that Cruel, his older brother, had become the hero. He couldn't help but wonder when this transformation had occurred. Sensing the need to address these thoughts, he gently tapped Ririnal on the head and told her that he had something to take care of. With a farewell to Ririnal, he made his way out. A curious demon servant approached Ririnal and asked why the Zero Corps commander had suddenly appeared angry, noting how scary he could be. In response, Ririnal blushed and remarked on how attractive she found Dion. In his room, Dion's mind raced. He couldn't help but feel a growing anger toward the Emperor. "Emperor," he seethed internally. "You already know everything that happened, yet you still had Cruel take the hero position." Dion couldn't shake the feeling that the Emperor was well aware of his involvement with the demon army. Memories of the recent encounter with the Demon King flooded his mind. The king had asked him if it was time for Dion to make a trip to the Empire, and Dion had agreed, planning to gather more information about the new hero. As he recalled the conversation, Dion realized that the king had placed a tracking spell on his shoulder, serving as a form of insurance. The Demon King had emphasized that Dion should keep him informed of anything useful. The corps commander of the demon realm and the hero of the Empire, the king had stated. Dion couldn't help but wonder why he had been chosen to act as a spy for the Demon King. He theorized that extreme stress might trigger memory loss, vowing to remain stress-free to preserve his memories. Ed suddenly entered the room, interrupting Dion's thoughts. Ed mentioned that he had heard the king discussing Dion's trip to the human realm and asked if there was anything he wanted to convey. Dion noted that Ed had been absent from his side but was in the company of the Demon King. He replied that it was indeed time for his return and that there was something personal he needed to investigate. He then turned the question around, asking Ed if there was something he wished to share. Ed's thoughts continued to dwell on the recent conversation he had with the Demon King. The king had approached Ed with an unexpected offer, asking if he wanted to become the corps commander since the 9 corps commander position had become vacant. As the king explained that the corps commander position had remained filled until now, he admitted that he had placed Ed in the role of vice commander of the Zero Corps, because he believed Ed possessed the qualifications and skills necessary to be a corps commander. The offer had taken Ed by surprise. Ed's mind raced as he considered the prospect. "I had forgotten while I was serving Sir Arut," he thought. but it's a position I've always wanted a corps commander." Turning to the king, Ed inquired about the fate of the vice commander of the Zero Corps if he were to accept the role of corps commander. The king responded that they would need to recruit someone new who was next in line after Ed to fill the vice commander position. The king made it clear that he wasn't forcing Ed into the role but raised an important question: how would Ed feel if a junior, someone weaker than him, were to become his superior? The decision was left in Ed's hands, with the king emphasizing the potential consequences of his choice. Back in the present, Ed found himself discussing the matter with Dion. Dion asked if the Demon King had said anything to him, suspecting that Ed might have faced repercussions for his earlier drinking incident. However, Ed chose not to reveal the true nature of his conversation with the king. Instead, Ed informed Dion that he intended to have the chef prepare something special before Dion left for the human realm. Dion sensed that Ed had something on his mind but didn't want to pressure him. A demon soldier saluted them, notifying Dion that his carriage was ready. Dion acknowledged the soldier's message and took a moment to convey his final words to Ed. He urged Ed to take good care of himself until his return. As Dion prepared to leave, a thought crossed his mind: had Ed asked to step down from his role as vice commander because it had been challenging to serve him? Dion decided to pose the question to Ed directly, seeking clarity on the matter. He asked Ed if there was anything specific he desired from the human realm, considering Dion's upcoming trip to the Empire. Dion even suggested that he might bring back some snacks or items that could be useful for a long time. Ed replied that he didn't have any particular requests. Dion decided to choose something appropriate instead, determined to show his appreciation for his loyal vice commander. As Dion prepared to depart, Ed issued a final reminder. He urged Dion to always wear the necklace from Ben and the robe while in the human realm, ensuring his safety. Inwardly, Ed marveled at the unique bond he shared with Dion. Is there any other superior in all of the demon realm who is this concerned about his juniors? Ed wondered. And there's no superior who needs so much help, either. But the fact that Sir Arut needs me does not make me upset. Ed's respect and loyalty for Dion shone brightly. He recognized that he didn't want to become a corps commander, he cherished his role as vice commander for Sir Arut. Above all, he wanted to be of help to Dion. With unwavering dedication, Ed concluded his thoughts as Dion departed. So, Zero Corps Commander, wherever you go, please have a safe trip. Ed vowed to await Dion's return, ready to resume his role as vice commander and offer his unwavering support. The following day, in front of the Hart estate, 2 guards stood watch at the gate. They noticed someone approaching and halted the man, informing him that this was the Hart estate, and the Count was currently away. They firmly stated that outsiders were not permitted to enter. Little did they know that the man they were addressing was none other than Dion Hart himself. Dion, with an air of authority, ordered the guards to open the gates. The guards remained resolute, questioning his attitude. They warned him that if he came any closer, they would attack. Dion, with a hint of annoyance, removed his hood and mask, revealing his identity. He demanded, "I'm trying to enter my own home, and you dare to stop me?" The guards quickly recognized him and respectfully addressed him as my lord. Inside the Hart estate, the maids hurriedly spread the word that the Count had returned. As Dion entered the house, the maids collectively welcomed him with reverence, causing Dion to think, "I told them they don't need to greet me like this." Did you enjoy the story? If so, please consider showing your support by liking and subscribing to my channel. Your encouragement keeps us going. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you for watching. Peace.